That Jackie and her daughter's relationship was strained. I didn't know to the extent or the degree.
Like the damage that she did to me and my sister's relationship, she won't even take accountability for. At this point, it's just like a fake, I have to keep talking to you so you won't go talk about me on Twitter and talk about me on Facebook and
So you
tell
think
your side of the story.
genuinely she doesn't care?
Why else would you speak about your daughter like this?
Y'all, when people say the calmest ones are the scariest when they finally lose it, they're talking about folks like Doug Christie. For years, Doug has been known as the peacemaker, the cool-headed father, the loyal husband, the kind of man who never raises his voice unless it's absolutely necessary. But recently, that calm exterior cracked, and when it did, everything in his world changed. This wasn't some small argument or harmless misunderstanding. No, this was something deep, something that touched Doug right at the core of who he is as a man and as a father. Because what he discovered about his daughter Chantel left him speechless. You ever see a man who built his entire life around trust suddenly realize that the people he trusted most have been hiding something from him?
Give her the opportunity to say everything that she's had to say about me to me. Get bold. You had all of these things to say. Oh, she's a hoe, she's messing with his friend, she's doing this, she's doing that. Say it.
That's exactly what happened here. Doug didn't just snap out of nowhere. There was a build-up, signs he tried to ignore, moments he brushed off, until finally, one day, the truth showed up right in front of him, and there was no way to unsee it. And the way it all came out? Phew. Let's just say this was not the quiet, peaceful Doug we all thought we knew. For years, Doug Christie has been the rock of his family. From his NBA days to his time on reality TV with Jackie, he's always shown up as the steady, grounded one.
Here because you brought the friend into the situation. So I just want you to tell me, face to face, that it was the friend that I was with.
When things got messy on Basketball Wives, Doug was the calm voice in the background, reminding everyone to breathe, to love, to move forward. He and Jackie built their marriage on loyalty, at least that's what it looked like from the outside. Their bond was tight, almost too tight sometimes. And when their daughter Chantel came into the picture, Doug's world became complete. He adored her. She was his little girl, his pride, his light. Even when Chantel started carving her own path in the world, Doug made sure she knew he had her back. Whether it was career advice or personal struggles, Doug was there. But as time went on, things began to shift. Doug started noticing that Chantel was distant.
Disgusting. It's disgusting. It makes me sick.
She said a lot of things that actually hurt my feelings as a mom.
Her calls became shorter, her visits less frequent. And when she did come around, she seemed distracted, nervous even. At first, Doug thought maybe she was just dealing with life stuff. You know how it goes, people grow up, get busy, start keeping things to themselves. But this felt different. It wasn't just distance. It was like she was hiding something. And Doug, being the intuitive man he is, could feel it. Then there was Jackie. She was acting strange too.
Have this castle and this man and this blended family. Go fix it. Go fix dinner. Why are you here?
Always brushing off certain questions, always finding a reason to leave the room when Chantel's name came up. Doug tried to convince himself he was overthinking it, but the energy in the house was changing. Conversations got awkward. There were too many coincidences. And if there's one thing Doug doesn't ignore, it's a pattern. One afternoon, Doug came home earlier than usual. Jackie wasn't there. The house was quiet, too quiet. He went into his office to grab a folder, and that's when he noticed an envelope sitting halfway under his desk. No name, no address, just a folded white envelope. Something told him not to open it. But curiosity got the best of him. Inside was a document, one that made his stomach twist the moment he saw what it was. A paternity test. The name Chantel Christie was right there at the top. And next to it the word excluded. Doug's heart dropped. His mind went blank. He just stared at the paper, reading it over and over again, hoping somehow he was misunderstanding what he was looking at. But it was right there, clear as day. The man listed on the test wasn't him. At first, he tried to tell himself maybe it was fake. Maybe someone was trying to play games. But deep down, he knew this was real. This was something Jackie and Chantel had known about. He sat there in silence, gripping that paper in his hand, his heart pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. For the first time in a long time, Doug didn't know what to do. He wasn't angry yet, just broken. But that was about to change. That night, Doug didn't sleep. He paced the living room, waiting for Jackie to come home. When she finally walked through the door, all it took was one look at his face for her to know something was wrong. Doug didn't waste a second. He held up the paper and asked one question. "Why did I have to find this out like this?" Jackie froze. Her whole expression changed. She tried to speak, but her voice caught in her throat. Doug's voice stayed calm, too calm, the kind of calm that comes right before a storm. He said, "How long have you known?" And that's when Jackie's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "Doug, please, let me explain." But he wasn't trying to hear excuses. He had spent years trusting her, believing in her, standing by her, and now, this? He needed the truth, not stories. So he pressed her again. "Who else knows?" That's when Jackie's silence said everything. Doug's jaw tightened. He realized Chantel knew too. That was it. The calm left his body. The father in him took over. The next morning, Doug called Chantel and told her to come by. No details, no warning, just, "We need to talk." She walked in, smiling softly like nothing was wrong, but as soon as she saw the look on her father's face, that smile faded. Doug didn't yell. He didn't even move at first. He just placed the folded paper on the coffee table between them. "Explain this," he said. Chantel stared at it, her lips trembling. "Dad, He interrupted. "Don't say you don't know what this is." Tears welled up in her eyes. She took a deep breath and said, "I didn't want you to find out like this." Doug's face went cold. "You mean you didn't want me to find out at all?" The room went silent. Chantel tried to speak again, but Doug's voice grew stronger. "Do you have any idea what it feels like to find this out from a piece of paper? To realize the person I've loved, raised, and protected might not even be mine?" That was it. Chantel broke down. She covered her face, sobbing. "You'll always be my dad," she cried. "That doesn't change." Doug's voice cracked. "But it does, Chantel. It changes everything." And in that moment, the man who had spent years being strong for everyone else finally broke down too. But here's where it gets even deeper. Because Doug eventually learned that Jackie had known about the situation for years long before this moment. Apparently, when Chantel was little, there had been doubts. But Jackie kept it buried, convinced the truth would destroy the family. She told herself it was better this way, that Doug didn't need to know. But secrets like that don't stay hidden forever. And when Doug realized that both Jackie and Chantel had been living with this lie all this time, something inside him shut off. He didn't yell. He didn't throw anything. He just sat down, stared at the floor, and whispered, "So I've been living a lie?" Jackie dropped to her knees, crying, "Doug, please, you're still her father, you always have been." He looked at her, his eyes filled with tears, and said, "No, Jackie. I was her father. But you took that from me when you chose to lie." That silence after those words was deafening. For days, Doug disappeared. He didn't call. He didn't text. Even his closest friends didn't know where he went. People started worrying. But truth is, Doug just needed time to breathe, time to process, time to figure out who he was outside of the image he'd been living in for years. He'd built his life on honesty and loyalty. And now, both of those values had been tested in the worst way. Meanwhile, Jackie and Chantel were left in pieces. Chantel couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. She kept replaying the confrontation in her mind, the look on her father's face when he realized the truth. The disappointment. The heartbreak. She never wanted this. But wanting and doing are two different things. And Doug? He couldn't bring himself to forgive yet. Not because he didn't love her, but because the wound was still too raw. When Doug finally came back, weeks later, he wasn't the same man. He looked tired, like he'd aged years in just a few days. He called them both together. Jackie and Chantel sat on one side of the table, Doug sat across from them. He took a deep breath and said, "I'm not here to fight. I just need to understand." And then he said something that broke them both. "Why didn't you trust me with the truth?" Jackie sobbed, "I was scared of losing you." Doug nodded slowly. "And now you have." That sentence cut like a knife. Because Doug wasn't being cruel, he was just being honest. He told them, "I still love you both. That's never going to change. But I can't pretend this didn't happen. I can't just smile like everything's fine. You didn't just lie to me. You took away my right to know who I really am to my daughter." Chantel whispered, "You are my dad, no matter what a test says." Doug looked at her, his eyes soft but pained. "Maybe. But I need time to believe that again." Since that day, Doug has kept mostly quiet in public. No big statements, no interviews. Just silence. But those close to him say he's been doing a lot of reflecting, trying to heal without letting bitterness take over. He's not the type to hold grudges. But betrayal? That changes a man. It's said that Doug's been working on rebuilding his bond with Chantel, one step at a time. But his trust in Jackie, that's still up in the air. Some things can't be fixed with an apology. Because when the truth finally comes out, especially one that big, it doesn't just hurt your heart. It shatters the very foundation of your life.